How's it going, everybody? So today I'm going to show you how to get 500 utility damage every single time you play Vertigo on CS2. So starting off, one of my favorite HEs to throw in all of Counter-Strike is coming right up here into this pillar, looking at the very top right of this square here, and doing a jump throw with an HE and absolutely obliterating anyone standing right here behind white box. This does a ton of damage. And there's a lot of situations where if you're, playing around stairs, you get information, very, very solid information that someone is behind white box. So being able to just nade it and nuke that guy is super important. And if you have a teammate that can get into this position here and throw the nade that I just showed you, you can walk right up and get stuck right into his shoulder and do a jump throw right at the top of this square right here to pair it up and get 2 HEs to drop in this guy's head, just completely killing him. It's a fantastic stack to throw. I definitely recommend you incorporating this into a couple of your Vertigo games. Another super cool HE grenade you can throw on the T side is as you're just running up here into mid right off the start of the round, you just bank an HE right off of this pillar here and just nuke anyone standing out in this area. Now you may be wondering like, okay, why would someone be standing here? But early round, it catches a timing to where, if people are kind of bumbling around in here, maybe they're throwing a Molotov to stop a rush and then kind of backing up. I get a ton of damage throwing this HE. There's a lot of situations where there's CTs just kind of moving around in this area. And especially if they're kind of on an, maybe if they're on an eco and they're trying to push into mid, there's a lot of times in pugs, you'll get, 4 or 5 guys just running through here with pistols, right? So if you can throw that, you're going to do a lot of damage to the guys trailing in the back. So it's a really good HE to throw. I chunk up quite a bit of damage when I throw it on, whenever I'm playing mid on T side. So another super simple HE grenade that gets me a ton of damage on this map is as I'm pushing up and taking sight, if I've taken ramp control and, maybe I'm smoking off the back of sight, I'll pair a nice little HE grenade just by kind of standing really anywhere up along this area and just left clicking at the top right of this little Lego brick here. Sometimes I'll go a little bit above it just for good measure, but that's going to pop straight down and do really good damage to anyone standing here in headshot, right? It does about 50 damage to when they're standing here. It's a really common angle because typically this player is going to want to be standing here and holding anyone that's coming out of short. So you do catch a lot of people sitting up there, even if they're not standing. Whenever they're crouching and just kind of playing for a timing, that HE is going to do a ton of damage. Even if someone's standing, maybe around the back here, that's still going to do a little bit of damage to him. In that situation, it did 30 to me. That's not too bad for someone not standing exactly on that position. And of course, I would say everyone that's followed my channel for long enough knows that this is my favorite grenade in all of Counter-Strike. If you jump right here up into this corner straight off of spawn and just do a simple jump throw right at this dark spot on the wood, you can do that super quick and end up destroying the T's as they're running up. It catches the perfect timing to where the T's, as they're running up, if they're going to be pushing up into mid, that's going to pop right in their face for 50 plus damage. It absolutely destroys people. I get hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of UD from this nade every single time I play mid on CS2 Vertigo. And if you're doubling up mid, you can get your friend to go right here into this position and do a middle click jump throw at the bottom of this little bracket here. And it's going to do pretty much the exact same thing. It goes a little bit more left. So for this particular bot, it doesn't do quite as much, but there's plenty of people that are running through on the right side, right? So it's going to do 50 plus damage with that one as well. So whenever I'm throwing those HEs, I'm racking up so much UD, especially if they're pressuring mid a lot on the T side. So moving on over to the A site, there's a ton of really simple HEs you can throw to rack up utility damage. If they're being super aggressive towards yellow early round, as I'm running to kind of fight that in the beginning, I'll just run through an HE and just bank it right off the left side of this pillar here. That's going to go all the way up, and anyone standing kind of in this region is going to get roasted by it, especially if they're being fast and just running up. I'd get a lot of UD off that, just kind of chunk damage, right? And if we're looking more towards kind of mid to late round, right? Like let's say maybe you're holding more of a passive angle kind of around here. If you feel like they're down here in yellow, maybe they're walking up. If you just think they're down there, you can stand anywhere around this little dot. It's so loose, it doesn't matter. As long as you're just kind of right next to it, you can just do a simple left click throw anywhere along where this yellow fence intersects with the gray. So just right here, and it's going to pop straight down and land on that ramp, doing really, really strong damage to anyone standing here. And, as well, if someone's like holding an angle like this, which happens quite a bit, it still does, 30 to 40 damage. So it's a really good HE to just throw if you just feel like maybe they're down there. It's just kind of more of like guesswork HE grenade. But if you got a pretty good idea that they're going to be in there, I definitely recommend throwing it. If you're ever stuck in a situation where maybe you're smoked off and you hear the T's start planning, if you go all the way back into this corner, you can left click an HE basically wherever the top of this tarp would intersect with this yellow bar. So just right in here and just do a simple left click throw. And that's going to go all the way up here. It's going to pop and do 50 to 60 damage on anyone standing here in default planning. You can also pair that in that exact same position. You can throw both an HE and a molly to just completely obliterate and stop the plant. Generally, you want to throw the molly first, then the HE to kind of get them stuck in the molly, but whatever works for you. This is just a really, really potent mix. You can just drive any of the T's straight off of sight by throwing that set. Moving on over towards the B site, there's a very similar set that you can throw from right here in this corner. So if you get word that the enemies are planning, you can just stand right here and jump throw just on the left-hand side of this little yellow line here. And that's going to fully molly off all of the default plant position. And right after you throw that, you can just aim right at the bottom right of this little rectangle here. So you can aim right in here and just take a few steps with a shift walk and release. And that nade's going to land right there on top of their head, doing around 40 to 50 damage, depending on where they're standing or if they're crouching or just mid-plant. All things considered, if you can manage to throw a molly and get an HE down there, they're probably going to die while trying to plant. It's also super self-explanatory, but if you're up here in connector and they start planning, you can literally just left-click a molly and left-click an HE in the same position to do that exact same set and do a significant amount of damage to anyone. For max damage with that HE, you take a little step with it, and it's going to go a little bit further out, doing closer to 50 damage as opposed to that 39 to 40 if you just left-click it. But either way, you can absolutely obliterate the plant that way as well. And finally, as the A player, there's a lot of times where my mid player is having to rotate towards B, so I end up picking up mid from an angle like this. And once they start, feeling a lot of pressure, maybe they'll drop a smoke down right here. Once they get information that, hey, the T's are actually up here towards white, a lot of times I'll throw this HE grenade. I'll go right here into this position. I'll aim at the right-hand side of this little cardboard, and I'll move my crosshair over to the right to where it's kind of just above this part of the cardboard, so just right in here. And I'm going to do a run jump throw right before I hit this position here, and that nade's going to go all the way out here and do a ton of damage to anyone standing here. If they're standing like around this area here, like moving up to clear white, it's going to do 50 plus damage, sometimes up towards 60 if it hits them right in the face. It's a really good HE that, if there's a few T's clustered here, which happens quite often, I'll get, 100 UD, just off the throwing this every now and then. Once I, especially if I know that they're up here towards white, I'll just throw that, and it's a great way to rack up some chunk damage. So yeah, if you enjoyed these different HE tips, and if you think it's going to get you a few extra kills, a few extra rounds in your next CS2 Premier match, go ahead and leave a like and a comment down below letting me know what you'd like to see in the next video.